back to my channel. I'm Liam. Round 15 was a pretty decent round, a nice high scoring one for most people, making it sometimes a little bit hard to want to trade some of these mid prices / rookies out that have been doing alright. But we want to still keep improving our teams, and hopefully I can give you some decent advice on who to bring in this week. On the rookie front, it is pretty slim pickings. In this price bracket, Connolly actually looked alright when the 1.5 quarters he played on the weekend. I don't think his job security is overly amazing. He came in for Billings, was the sub, and then just came on because of an injury. But they might reward him if he does get rewarded with a game. Decent DPP with a defender mid option, and scored 53. So it's not like he's bad. Not like his price has been affected at all. If he's got that scoring ability in future games, far out. Be nice to have him. No, I'm joking. Have him on field, but nice little emergency option as cover. So if he does get named this week, he'll be very tempting to bring in. Williams, I wouldn't touch. Didn't like his role that he played on the weekend. There's no one else really that I'm interested with out of rookies' concern. This price bracket, Sharp did look nice on the wing. Gold Coast did have a pretty bad loss though. It'll be interesting to see if how much they change their team around from the loss. Sharp has scored very well, but I found watching the game made a fair few mistakes, defensive positioning and all that. And North seem to let wingers score pretty big when they play the opposition. So if there's no rookies on the table, he gets named. He's certainly an option for a couple of weeks because he's got a very low break even. Preferably, you want to probably play him on the bench, but M8 I just don't see him scoring 79 each week, to be fair. Just 45, 50 is probably the round mark he's going to get, but that'll still make him 100k, 120k, which will be handy if he does get named. Reeves, I'm still waiting for him to get named. With Hawks winning again, I don't see it happening, but he did play alright, I think, in the VFL. It could be a handy little. It's just annoying these guys at 245 because there's no real rookies absolutely out at 400, 450. They're all at the 300, 350 marks. So only these guys are making 100k, which doesn't really fund much for an upgrade. So we just hope for a rookie to come along with half a decent job scoring ability. That's where I think Connolly, if Connolly gets named this week, he'll probably be number one traded in. It gives you an extra 60k, and that 60k is can be very beneficial to your team for the long run. In this, there's someone that played alright last week. I think he's on here, but Paddy Dow had a half decent week, but he's in my no-go zone. There's talk. Here he's back, 77. He played the Crows. I don't see it. Just stay away. Stay away. And you don't want to be bringing in players with 300k. You're not going to make any cash bringing in Paddy Dow at all. He might make 50k, but that's a waste of 2 trades. Bring him in and trade him out again. There's no one at 400k that I'm overly interested in. This bracket is an interesting one. There's a couple of players that I like to talk about. I did talk about DeGoey last week, but forgot he was actually suspended for that week. but he's played a fairly high chunk of time in the midfield in the last couple of weeks. He is average of 98. He's only 5'15", and with the lack of cash generation available, he could be a handy little stepping stone to use to get to a Zorko Kelly type, or even a long run F6 if he continues this role. So I don't mind him, along with someone you never thought of ever bringing into a fantasy side. Jake Stringer got a very similar role to De Goey, and Essendon's in a bit of form at the moment. They pushed Melbourne to the end, so they're going to continue with this Stringer role in the midfield. Pushes forward after just like a Dusty. I see him averaging about 85 to 90 at worst, and at 520 odd, just like De Goey. They're priced at 75. They're 15-20s under, and with cash generation tough to go by, these two are certainly options I'd be considering to bring in. I know players like Heaney have shown this, but I feel like these two have got genuine roles for their teams. So at 520, I'm tempted to bring in at least one of these guys for this week because I have no cash generation whatsoever. And also, Daniel Howe's actually had a half decent role at the Hawks, that wing position, handy defender mid, but I'd prefer Stringer and De Goey over him. And I know he's a defender mid. Also prefer probably a Harms, Ridley, Haynes types over those three, over him. But he's certainly not the worst option out of the lot. Going more into specified positions now in the 600 bracket. A couple of defenders are putting their name in the hat. Maynard, Collingwood just loves chipping the ball around that back line. And he seems to benefit, just like Main. He's 56k unders from what he started the season, so he's got proven ability that he's scored like this before, averaging 111 in his last three, 123 in his last game. 660 is a solid option to go along with Hearn, who still got to 110 in the wet. Hickles love. He just plays that sweeper role, just like a Luke Ryan. They tend to score in patches. You can be scared in on a high score, but 10 minutes later they've racked up 5 cheap plus sixes and they're back in to 100 range. And also Cumming is like a Hearn or Ryan, kicking out from fullback, getting just free points. It's just, I find it hard to bring in a guy who's gone up 308k already. But it was an amazing starting pick, whoever did that, and held on to him, averaging 89, starting price at 350. Well done to those people. And another couple that are in amongst that range of 640s, Houston and Daniel. Houston still hasn't put a bad game together in his last 4. So another 600k option in defence. There's a bunch of them this year. And Daniel's playing more of a mid-role now at the Dogs. Who knows, he tends to get flicked around a lot and a little bit untrustworthy. But in the last few games, and they like to give the ball to him. He's one of probably the best distributors in the game. And at 640, another solid option. Probably would go Maynard. I'll probably go those top 3 before any of the others, but just throw a blanket over and hope. Main, as I was talking about before, Collingwood and Crisp, great options. Ball's going to be down there a lot, and they love possession footy. Mills, brilliant role. I've said every week, if you get to him, pick him up. And Heppel's hit a bit of form as of late, but I probably prefer the other guys over him. And Whitfield is probably my number one defender alongside Laird at this very stage. If you can bring him in over Mills, I think I would go Whitfield over Mills. GWS got a great run home, and they just love to chip the ball around, just like Collingwood. So I'd probably go the top 4 to 5 of my top 6 defenders would be Whitfield, would be Laird 1, Whitfield 2, Mills 3, Chris 4, Main 5, and Short 6 at this very stage. And Maynard a close 7th would be my 6 defenders that I'd be wanting to. Ideally, you would want at the end of the year. In the forwards, there's a bunch of them at the 600k mark. They all have their pros, all they have their cons. Martin, fairly consistent, just doesn't have a ceiling that he used to have. Parfitt, I don't mind. After Duncan's gone out, he's gone back-to-back 95s, 98, 91, I think, or something, averaging 95. And Hunter out in the wing loves to rack up, and he's proven before he can go 120. Just hasn't been able to hit those heights as of late, as Bulldogs have so many ball winners. It's hard for everyone to score stacks at the same time. People have been talking about Dangerfield. I prefer a Stringer and De Goey over to him. I feel like they have a very similar role to him. And for 100k cheaper in these day and ages, would certainly prefer them. And Dangerfield's still got a break even of 111. You probably can get him for 20k cheaper next week. And still hasn't hit the form that we'd like. He could come out with 130 this week and everyone jumps on him next week. And you could be very happy that you brought him in early. But I'm just a bit wary on Dangerfield's form at this very stage. And the only forward you want to... It's finally reached over 800k after Hall. Oh no, Kelly's there as well. Zorko's just in amazing form right now. He played a lot of more midfield than I've seen him before, and that's with even Neil back. And then he loves the cheap little kick in the back line, and then goes forward and they hit him up on the lead. He's just everywhere. 128 in his last 3. Still has a very gettable break even at that price. And Brisbane's got a great run home. Brisbane and GWS, brilliant runs home for you to bring in. Kelly, Hall, Zeeble might be dropping a little bit in price after not making 100. But that's their top options still. Zeeble's lost a little bit of form as of late, but North's been playing a little bit better footy, so the ball's not being it down there as much. It's not due to his form or role. I feel like it's just lack of ball. And Langford's another decent option at 700k, playing a wing midfield role. It's a very slow start last week, but scored 103 quarters. So he's certainly got a nice ceiling, as does Langford. Again, these midfielders, there's so many options. I do like Simpkin. If North continues to keep playing Tassie, racked up 30 plus in his last 4 at Tassie. Probably won't get tagged. Cunnington's our main strike force in there. So he's at 724, a cheaper alternative to an 800k guy. Walsh did just play Adelaide. Teams have seen that he is susceptible to a tag. Adelaide didn't do this last week. But he's a nice little cheap option in next week. to have a look at. Same as Boak, um, who was down for a few weeks, and then even he scored 119 even with a tag this week. Another just cheaper option if you can't get to any of these top guys, which you just can throw a blanket over. Bontempelli's in amazing form. He's just untouchable at the moment. Miller, I'll just be wary paying 900k for him. But if you have him right now, good on you. Parrish, Keys has been a very surprise packet as of late. I'm just bringing him in at the moment. But any of these are amazing picks still. Saints probably have a little bit of a tough run home, so I'm a bit wary of bringing in Steele. Lions, it just had a little bit of a down game. I feel like he can still score well with Brisbane's run home. Wines, time has come. I don't think I'll be paying $8.30 for him. I still think Parrish is a pretty solid option along with Merritt and McRae. Taranto, I think he just had a little bit of an off game, and Mitchell is a pick that is probably the value pick out of all. 828, fairly low break even, gone 125 in his last three. Pick that I'm very pleased of. And in the rucks, Grundy is certainly right for the picking this week. 118, he's down to 790. It's not going to get much cheaper. Up from a Darcy who has made a nice 200k, but that's a pretty easy 90k upgrade for your team. And I feel like Grundy will continue with this 110, 115. He was back to his old ways last week. Lots of possessions, lots of hit-outs. And becomes a captain option as well for your team, even though there is plenty of midfielders that are on fire at this very stage. So hopefully I can use some decent advice for this round. At this very moment, I'm a bit stuck on trades. I'm looking for a cheap rookie to bring in and then either upgrading Heaney to a Zorko or possibly going straight swapping Heaney to a stringer and possibly doing a 100k downgrade so I can do an upgrade next week. Lack of cash at this very moment in time, but I'll be back on Thursday night or Friday for my preview of round 16. So till then, have a good one.